Well, welcome back to another episode of Lessons into Blessings podcast. I am your host, Tari Thomas, and today, listen, we are going to be talking about getting past your mental blocks to get started in real estate. Listen, a lot of people will do a lot of different things and want to get started, but they can't get past certain barriers. So, if you answer yes to any of these questions, this could be you. And so, this podcast is going to be helpful for you. Do you listen to every single real estate podcast out there? You watch every real estate video, you purchase courses, but at the end of the day, you still haven't moved forward. You don't have a deal to show for it. Do you look at real estate that may make sense on paper, but you cannot pull the trigger? And if you are one of those people who you're talking to one of your investor friends and you hear one of their horror stories about real estate and it paralyzes you from moving forward, then you have fear or a mental block that might be standing in your way. And I want you to get past it today. And that's kind of the reason why we started Lessons into Blessings in the first place. Our goal is to level people up in their financial freedom through real estate by sharing stories and strategies and lessons of everyday people who change their financial trajectory through real estate. But here's the reality is you cannot trick yourself to do what your heart and head do not believe. To believe it, you must be able to conceive that it is possible for you, not just your investor friends. So today, I'm going to be giving you 5 tips to help you get unstuck. So I'm not absent from dealing with some of these mental blocks. When I got started in real estate, I was stacking like 20% of my income through buying my first house and renting out the rooms in my property. And so I was stacking all this away to continue to buy properties and roll it into purchasing other real estate. Well, I got in bed with the wrong person and started investing in international real estate and got burned. Lost tens of thousands of dollars, and it sat me on the sidelines for like 3 or 4 years. And when I decided to get back in the game, I realized, whoa, I had a mental block. There was something that was prohibiting me from moving forward, and this is what it looked like. I was started to look at different real estates and different properties, and every single time I saw a property that made sense on paper, I could not get past my blocks, right? And so what I was doing was hesitating. And because I was hesitating, someone was coming to the table sooner than I was and swooping the property out from underneath me. So one of the things that I did to start dealing with this is really understanding what my limitations were, what was holding me in a position of neutral, what was I afraid about? And I really had to start to question, why was I afraid? One thing that you can do is to take the time to understand why you are stuck in a neutral position. You know how your kids ask you, well, why? But why? But why? But why? That's essentially what you want to do to yourself is continue to ask yourself why. Start by identifying the fears and limitations that you have and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? For me, it was a feeling of frustration. Man, I keep putting these deals out here and I'm not pulling the trigger. And then I ask, why am I frustrated? Well, I keep losing the deal. Well, why do I keep losing the deal? Because I'm hesitating. Well, why am I hesitating? Because I'm afraid that if I choose the wrong property or I analyze it wrong, then it's going to lead to failure again. And so once I started drilling down, I got to what my root cause of was holding what was holding me in a neutral position. That's number one. We all battle. Look, we all battle with fear. I'm not saying be fearless. I'm saying do it in spite of fear. Your greatest potential is in the direction of fear. So let fear guide you to your next level of greatness. Now, once you've acknowledged your fears and identified that thing, that limiting belief that's holding you back, now you can put a plan in place for when it tries to come back up again. And putting a plan in place really means understanding what your end goal and working backwards to create boundaries for yourself. If you know what things are going to come up and what fears are going to come up, well, create boundaries for yourself. And for me, I like to call this boundary a buy box. A buy box is a boundary you put around what you want to purchase. And if anything falls outside of that buy box, then you don't pick it up, right? So it's all the research and all the things you do ahead of time about the location, the zip code, the class of property where it's either A, B, or C, the neighborhood, the price point, what are you able to afford, the type of returns or cash flow that you need to have, or maybe if you're doing a rehab, what is the after repair value and the profit that you need to see from that deal. That is what a buy box is. And that's something that you want to start with up front. You want to understand your end goal and work backwards to figure out what boundaries do I need to put in place to ensure that I am staying within my perimeters. Another thing it helps you do is it helps you to focus. And some of you may know the acronym for focus, but follow one course until successful. Well, for me, it helped me to drill down, and I got really specific on what zip code. I knew the rents in that area. I knew the price points of properties in that area. So when the right property came up at the right price point, I knew exactly how to pull the trigger and to operate in a quicker in a quicker time frame than other investors that were looking in that same area. Look, once you have a plan as to what you want to achieve, the next thing you need to do is understand what pieces you need to plug in. And to really truly understand that, you really need to take time to assess your assets. And I know what you guys are thinking. Assets is only limited to physical assets and money. No. Assets is whatever you have in your hands that you can use to kill it in real estate. For some people, it's time. They have the time to go out and do things that other people do not have the time to do. Maybe it's your talent. Maybe you can rehab. Maybe you know how to do certain things to add value to a property. Maybe it's your cash flow. You have a ton of money, but you don't have the time to do something. It could be your relationships. One of the things that worked out for me is I sat on the HOA board. And because I sat on the HOA board for a particular property, I knew exactly what properties where somebody might have been going into probate or somebody might have got behind on their HOAs and needed to get out. And so that has led to me having the opportunity to buy more properties, right? So what you need to do is find out what you bring to the table as far as your assets, because those are some of the things that you're going to plug into your plan. But as much as you also want to know what assets you have, you also need to know what you're not good at, where you may have a gap. You need to find that person, that who or what can fill that gap for you. It could be a technology that helps you go out and get acquisition deals. It could be a person like an agent or someone to be able to fill the gap to get you certain deals. So whatever that is, you need to take the time to assess your assets and to also know what you don't bring to the table so that you can fill that gap with the right who or what. The key here is not to underestimate what you are bringing to the table. Hey, number 4 is you need to enable the plan. And how do we enable the plan? We need to find the right people who are going to help us find the deals. Maybe you're one of those people who have time to knock on doors and to put up flyers and things like that, to do social media, to be able to find deals from distressed sellers. But you can also enable the plan by finding the right who. That's an agent, could be a wholesaler, could be a broker, or someone who can source deals for you. And one way you can do that is by going to your local real estate meetups. You can go to meetup.com and many different online places to look at what are some local real estate meetups there for you. That might put you in contact with other investors who may want to partner or other people who source deals. You can look on biggerpockets.com. You can find investor-friendly real estate agents or brokers that can help you find deals. Or you can just talk to local investors in your area, in the areas that you want to play in, to be able to give you insight and help lead you to the direction of deals. And do not sell short real estate agents and just on market properties, because some of those you may be able to find the right deal for you depending on what your strategy is. And here's where that buy box comes into play. You now enable them with your buy box so they aren't shooting in the dark. They know exactly what it is you need and what you're thinking about so that you can get deals done. It's the worst feeling in the world when you just tell an agent, hey, I want to do multifamily. And they're like, okay, but where? There's a million multifamily properties. Having your buy box and being focused on the specific areas and specific criteria is really going to help enable whoever that person is that's sourcing deals for you to really get specific on finding you exactly what it is you're looking for. And don't be afraid to go back to the drawing board if you need to tweak things to make it make sense for you. This is where other people come into play. Well, the last one, number 5, is look, just start. Nothing is ever perfect, but you will learn as you go. And that's really the reason for Lessons and the Blessings, is that there's going to be trip ups, there's going to be mistakes along the way, there's going to be deviations from the plan, but you've done the research, you've gotten the majority of the way, and the key is to stay flexible throughout all of that so that every lesson that comes up, that you can be able to turn it into a blessing. So this is the lesson I'm going to leave you with, is don't allow your poor mindset to fake you into thinking that you can't play in this real estate game, because you can. And you haven't missed out on your opportunity. Real estate has been present since the beginning of time, and people have been making money on real estate. You just got to find the right strategy for you. When I had the ability, once I had that failure, to be able to change my mindset on just one deal, it helped open the door to strategies that leveled up my game in real estate and really helped me to accelerate. So making the shift from fear to faith is so important. And the sky's the limit. You don't need to know how to do it all, but you do need to know what behaviors and mental blocks you have to keep you from achieving your goals so that you can move forward. Well, thanks for joining me for another episode of Lessons in the Blessings podcast. Until next time, stay blessed.